Let's define Dirichlet convolution and prove the Möbius inversion formula. We start out with two arithmetic functions, which are functions from the real numbers starting at 1 into the complex numbers. If we have two such functions, we can define their Dirichlet convolution, denoted by star, which is the function that takes the value on the integer n, which is equal to the sum over divisors of n of f of the divisor times g of n divided by the divisor. This is the Dirichlet convolution. The arithmetic functions with the pointwise addition and Dirichlet convolution form a commutative ring called the Dirichlet ring. What is the unit function in this ring, or the unit? Well, we'll denote it by epsilon, and epsilon of n is 1 if n is 1, and it is 0 for n bigger than 1. So then clearly we have that f star epsilon of n, let's say, is equal to the sum d divisors of n, but then we need to evaluate epsilon of n over d, and that will only be non-zero if d is n. So we basically have f of n, and therefore indeed epsilon is the unit in the Dirichlet ring. Aside from the unit function, another interesting function is the constant function. We'll define it to be 1, or we'll denote it as 1, and 1 of n is simply 1 for all n. So this is the constant function, or a constant function. Now let's compute an interesting Dirichlet product. Let's compute 1 star mu of n. Well, it is the sum over the divisors of n of 1 evaluated in d, and then mu evaluated in n over d, which is of course the same as the sum d over n, 1 evaluated in n over d, mu of d. Then 1 evaluated in n over d is just 1, because it is the constant function equal to 1, and therefore this is just mu of d. And then by a property of the Möbius function mu, this is equal to 1 if n is 1, and it is equal to 0 if n is bigger than 1. And therefore, this is nothing but the function epsilon of n. So we summarize by a property of the Möbius function mu, 1 star mu is epsilon. Now let's prove the Möbius inversion formula. Let's suppose that g star 1 is equal to f. Then if we multiply on the right by mu, use associativity as well as the fact that 1 star mu is epsilon and epsilon is the unit, we find that g is equal to f star mu. So let's write this out. So if f is equal to the sum divisors over n of g of d, then we have that g is equal to the sum over the divisors of n, mu, the Möbius function of d, times f d over n. So if f is related to g by a sum over divisors, then we now know that g is related to f by a sum over divisors times the Möbius function. This formula or property is called Möbius inversion, and it is very useful in number theory.